Hello and welcome to the Clock End Talk, an Arsenal podcast. You can follow us at clockend_talk on Twitter, or also on Facebook, YouTube, and Schwinn has a bit of a Snapchat going once in a while. So, don't want to see them Snapchats, so fuck me. Shout out to Schwinn, I know you're listening, mate. Okay, we got Tony and Darren with us this week, and people have called for you back, Darren, so I'm going to go to you first. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really disappointed that you've just ostracised me for the last month. My Twitter feed has been inundated with my 12 followers asking me when I was going to be back.
Let's put a bit of truth in. I'm not that ruthless. I'm not like a dictatorship here. Darren, every time I say podcast, Darren usually doesn't respond in the WhatsApp group, or he'll say, I got family up, and he's entertaining, so... Come on, mate.
Yeah. That's your side of the story. Ostracised everyone. Keep those requests coming in.
And Tony, as always, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm fucking knackered, but apart from that, all good.
All good. Okay, let's start on Arsenal Everton. I did my top. You know, when did that, I don't know if you boys read it. Probably didn't because I wrote it. But anyway, I did a top four prediction, and I actually did predict Arsenal to beat Everton in this game. So if you haven't watched the game, you're mad. The score finished 3-2. It was a really good game, actually. But Tony, as we always do, mate, we'll start on the lineup. Eddie again for Lacazette, and anything else that you thought, wow.
No, maybe Kolasinac for Saka. Saka's the better player, or a player but definitely in better form, but you can understand sort of from a rotation point of view. Obviously, it didn't last very long. But yeah, they were the only two. Well, they're the only two. Saka was the only change from the game before. And I guess a few people were quite surprised that Eddie kept his place. We all said on here, well, obviously you'd sacked Darren or suspended Darren at that point, so he didn't get a chance to say it. But it was on Addy. Me, you and Addy all said that if that was an audition, Eddie failed the game before. Sorry, so I guess it was a bit of a surprise to still see him there. No Gabby in the squad, Lacazette on the bench, but not a million miles away from what was expected.
Mm-hmm. Darren, your thoughts on the lineup and your thoughts. I'll actually get your thoughts on Eddie, considering you were suspended last week.
Suspended last week,
Apparently.
Suspended for the last 6 weeks, wasn't it? The selection is weird. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look balanced. It looks a bit strange with Ceballos and Ozil playing together, and our manager has picked a team that's won 3 games running. So he knows better than we do. I find, it's nice to have that enthusiasm of youth with Nketiah playing, but it just seems strange. But this week, the goal he took looked a proper decent goal. He looks a natural finisher. That whole team just doesn't feel like it should be good. Mustafi's first choice for the last 6 weeks. Kolasinac taken over from Saka, who's been outstanding, and Nketiah in as an inexperienced player when you've got our player of the year from last year on the bench. Ceballos and Ozil both in the side, where for weeks we haven't had either in the side, or for months, before Arteta. And suddenly, we've won 3 on the trot. So hands up, heads. What's it called? Heads off, hands off.
Heads up.
Well done
hands
to
up,
Mikel
Arteta.
Arteta.
I don't know. Yeah, it might absolutely. And I put out a tweet afterwards because I've never crucified Arteta, and I've never said, "Oh, fuck, this is absolute shit." I don't think I have. But you get where I'm coming from. When Arteta was appointed, I was like, "Oh, I'm a little bit iffy," but I had to pat him on the back, dead set. The last couple of games, this Arsenal team is a football team that I'm actually enjoying watching the football again.
If you don't mind, can I just come back to you, Tess? Because I'm 100% with you on that. I'm still unconvinced with the Arteta signing a club like Arsenal Football Club, employing someone who has got absolutely no experience, but he looks like he's been doing the job for a decade. But he also looks like he's been doing the job for 6 weeks. Strange substitutions, strange team selections, but it's really fun to watch our football club again. And, with 6 draws, 7 draws, we could have easily lost those games and we were calling him a cunt. We could easily have won those games and we're calling him the Messiah. It's just fun to watch our football club again.
It is. Tony Ceballos, yeah, so he made the team again. That was type of the interesting one for me. I thought, what has Torreira actually done wrong? And and I'll also twist that around as well to Guendouzi. It seems like he's out of favour now with Arteta.
I don't think he was ever really in favour with Arteta. He started against Bournemouth in the Cup, which was a bit of a half and half team, or less than a half and half team really at the time. And then he kept his place against Burnley because he was very, very good against Bournemouth. And then we had the whatever happened in Dubai, which when he was dropped against Newcastle, we didn't know at the time that it was due to anything that happened while they was away. And no one was surprised. He hasn't really been a starter under Arteta. So I didn't see anything into him not being in the team for this game. The Torreira one's a bit strange because as soon as Guendouzi done well against Bournemouth, as I said, he came in for Torreira against Burnley. I think that was a bit surprising. Last week, I think I said on here it wasn't a surprise because we knew he was going to have loads of the ball and Ceballos will probably get the ball forward better than both Guendouzi and Torreira. This week, with the form Everton are on, I was a bit 50-50. Ceballos played so well last week, you kind of think the team, and Arteta seems to be a bit of an advocate of if you play well, you keep your place. But it is also the type of game that you'd think, as said, with a team that are playing that well, that you'd probably have Torreira in. So I think it was a real 50-50 call, and that when you win, he's got it right and you can't complain. And if we lost, then I'm not saying it'd be a big complaint against him because most people, pretty much everyone, are pro Arteta. But I think that would be one of the questions asked. Why didn't Torreira play? Blah, blah, blah. This wouldn't have happened if Torreira played, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. Just realised, and recording this podcast, Bayern Munich, geez, they smashed Chelsea, didn't they? Oh, sorry.
I haven't seen any results at all.
No.
What's happened there?
I'm 3-0 and the other man sent off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I was watching Barcelona and Napoli, and that finished a 1-1.
Who scored in that? I saw it was 1-1, but I didn't see who scored.
Yeah, 1-1. Griezmann got the Barcelona goal. And who was anyway, I can't remember who got the other one.
Oh, so you watched it really closely?
No, I was fucking doing stuff, man. Come on.
Yeah, Tony, come on. Me and Tez were preparing for this podcast. We couldn't be watching football.
Yeah.
I was getting punched in the face.
Getting my shit sorted. Okay, Darren, let's get back to this Arsenal-Everton game. Look, first minute into it, mate, you're type of thinking, oh, fuck, here we go again. As Everton get a very, very early goal.
Yeah, it was a bit farcical, wasn't it? I mean, I'm trying to remember the game. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I don't know if you noticed. Did I post it on the group? I was very drunk on Sunday. I went to watch the game again. I was out with what was I out with? I met up with Perry Groves and Nigel Winterburn before the game. A mate of mine was doing a charity.
Look at you go.
No, but it was. Look, to be honest, I've met Perry Groves before. Only in the fact that he did the Legends tour when I did the Stadium tour about 3-4 years ago. And he was a prick when he took us around the stadium. And he was again yesterday or Sunday. But Nigel Winterburn, I must have watched, I know he played with the club for 13 years. I must have watched 10 years of his games. So when I got the chance to meet him, I wanted to go and meet him. You know, he was, and he's little, he's tiny. I showed a picture to someone of me and him, and he said he's that Frankie Dettori, the jockey. But it meant that I was at the ground at 12 o'clock, and that thing had finished by like 1:45. So I was in the pub for 4 hours really before the game. So I'm trying to remember the first game. Was that the one? Was that the free kick where Kolasinac run back when somebody made a run and played everyone on side?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, this is where we'll look at Arteta in 5 years' time or 2 years' time and see how he's good, because we still look incredibly vulnerable to opposing teams, and that was just. I don't understand. I'm not a technical guy. I don't understand. Should he have made that run back, Kolasinac? But because he goes with that player rather than letting him go, he plays 3 players on side, and they score a goal from it. Tony, what do you make of that one?
It's Kolasinac's fault. If someone goes back with I remember against Chelsea, people would blame him Xhaka, because whoever got their second goal was just about onside because he stepped half a foot deeper than the rest of the defence while playing out of position. Kolasinac was about 10, 12 foot. Even that's right in front of me. I was right in line with it. And even way before the free kick went taken, I literally shouted out, just like sort of involuntary. It didn't mean to come out loud. I was like, what the fuck's Kolasinac doing? Because it was just so clear. I think he was so busy trying to wrestle whoever it was. I think it was Yerry Mina, that he just lost all bearings.
He ran back so early as well, didn't he? He ran back so early that he actually realised what he'd done and had a chance to try and run out again.
Yeah, he was just so deep. He couldn't. It was like 10 yards he would have had to made up. And then, I mean, from them we probably still could have done better. But the other defenders are half thinking, well, he's got to be offside. Obviously not knowing, because especially Kolasinac being the deepest man, none of the defenders' eyes are facing that way. So it was just an absolute mess. And to be honest, I'm not one of the people that hates Kolasinac or dislikes Kolasinac, but he had a horror 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
What about you, Tez? Did you see that goal, Tez? I mean...
Yeah. The only thing mate, I apologise because my memory's fucking worse than yours, Darren, but a stroke will do that to you.
A stroke, 6 pints of Guinness, it's the same thing.
I've got to blame something, right? So the goal that took place, was that the one where his foot come up above Luiz's head?
Yes.
And I remember thinking to myself, geez, is that allowed? Will VAR stop this? Do you think that was a dangerous, obviously a dangerous position for him to be in?
I think if Luiz makes a mill out of that, it probably gets disallowed.
Yeah, okay.
In all honesty. But he didn't react. Like, if you pretend he's at your head, and then VAR can maybe see, he's not actually kicked him in the head, but the guy's had to pull out because of how high his foot is. I mean, the amount of times we see high foot given when it's like sort of around waist height, and it's got to be six foot up in the air, even if Luiz is crouching. The foot's 6 foot up in the air, but Luiz making no mill out of it, and the high foot rule is more endangering opponents. You're allowed to have your foot high if there's no one near you. And so I think if Luiz goes down and holds his head or like makes a big deal out of it, it probably gets disallowed.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh shit, that's bloody high foot. But yeah, you're probably right. He's probably got to kick and scream a bit. Sorry, Darren, go.
So, I was just going to say, so we're 1-0 down in the first minute. It was a good start, wasn't it?
I mean, I know we're going to go on to obviously talk about other goals and when in the game they happen, but there was a bloke in the row behind me. And the row behind me are pretty much exclusively bellends. I think that's how you have to get a ticket in that row. But you have to be a Brit to be allowed in there. But he missed 3 of the 5 goals.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I understand that because all around me, they were scored so early, so late, so early that most of the people who were just on the piss, not me this time, I got to the ground 5 minutes before kick-off. But so many people miss those goals because they get in late, they go down early to get a beer, they come back late because they're drinking beer, and they miss 3 goals this game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go on to, and I haven't checked Tony Kolasinac. He obviously came off. Looked like he was holding his arm or something there. Saka came on. Have you heard anything about an ongoing injury there with Kolasinac?
No, as far as I know, nothing's been released. The way they tied his arm up, it tends to be arm or shoulder. But I don't know what's wrong with it, how long he's out for. I don't think anything's been released, or if it has, I've not seen it.
No, I've heard nothing either. Darren, you haven't heard anything, mate?
No, I was just on the site before we came on, just checking out the goals again, and nothing there at the moment. But it was obvious as soon as whatever happened that he was going to go off. And I'm sure we'll talk about Saka, but Arteta keeps playing down his contribution. But it was almost like a blessing in disguise, wasn't it? Because as Tony said, Kolasinac's first 15 minutes, I think he went off in the 17th minute, he wasn't very good up until that point. And Saka, within minutes, transformed the game.
Mm-hmm. No, he's a good young kid, Saka. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. Tony, Eddie gets a goal, 27th minute. We come back and, look, obviously, I'll let you talk about the goal, but I just want to, and we spoke about Eddie last week, and we spoke, saying that probably wasn't. I was a bit surprised that he started last week. His performance wasn't that great, but yet he gets a call up again this week. Had he not have scored this goal, does that put pressure on young Eddie?
Who knows? As the famous saying goes, if mine had a cock, should be my uncle. You can't tell what pressure would have been under and what would have happened if something didn't happen. Life is consequential, so probably.
Apart from that goal, though, do you think he had a good game?
Yeah, I do. I thought he worked his bollocks off. Not anything that you're going to write home about. I thought he was very unlucky when he hit the bar, but just he worked his bollocks off, ran the channels. The only weakness you could say that come out of that game is he's not very good in the air, but he's against, especially in Mina, probably one of the best centre-backs in the air in the league. And he's also just not very good in the air anyway. We know that. And you can't judge him by that. If you judge Messi by how good he is in the air, you're going to think he's shit as well.
Yeah, no, fair call. Okay, where am I up to? So Eddie gets that goal back.
I mean, we didn't talk about the goal at all. You just
sorry, talk about the goal.
The ball from Saka is outrageous, and the ball is so good that I don't think the finish is getting the credit it deserves. It's a very, very good finish. It's so high in the air. It's a little deft touch to get it past Pickford. He's got to time everything right. Don't get me wrong. The cross is outrageous, and nothing against Kolasinac. He can't put that cross in that Saka puts in. But the finish is top drawer as well. Great to see two Hale End products combining for a goal.
Well, the control of his finish was, yeah.
It's not. It's really. It's one of them. You look at it on paper and you go, "Oh, it was 1-on-1, 8 yards out. It's easy." It ain't. That is not an easy finish.
It's not a tap in. Darren Aubameyang gets 33rd minute.
Yeah, I mean, we that was our best period of play, wasn't it? That we said Saka changed the game for me. I agree with Tony that crossing was just so good, and I understand as well that was a great finish by Nketiah. But as a striker, if you can have those crosses come in all day long, you'll score goals all day long. And I agree, it was a very good finish, but that's what they play for. It was almost unmissable because it was so perfect, and we were really good for a little period there, really good. Suddenly. The crowd was up, and I think I hope you agree with me, Tony. That's the biggest difference for me under Arteta. Is everyone is still just, we haven't been winning games, and yet the crowd is so behind this team, and the crowd were really good again at the stadium on Sunday. It was a good atmosphere, and the team were flying, and so were we. And then that David Luiz puts that ball through. Aubameyang, I know there's lots of criticism of both Emery and Arteta for playing Aubameyang out wide on the left, but when you see the run he makes, where the fullback has no idea where he is, where the centre half doesn't know where to go, and you've got talented players like Luiz putting that ball through. And Aubameyang just it's a terrific run, and his pace takes him past anyone. And that was the closest to a Thierry Henry finish you'll see. That was just what Henry did for fun. Open his body up, put it in the far corner. Great, great, great Arsenal goal.
Tez is on mute. I can see he's on mute.
What a dumb cunt. What a fucking dumb cunt.
I thought you were so astounded by my analysis of the game, it just kept you speechless there, Tez.
I'm still talking. I'm going, fucking no, can you hear me? Aubameyang, yeah, look, you did touch on him playing on the left, and we've always said, look, he's been that player who we've all wanted up top. I'm actually liking him playing on the left, and I think I'm more favourable now with him playing on the left. Lacazette is a worry up top for me because he does drop back so far, and that's where I think probably why Arteta is using Eddie a lot more. That combination, and I don't know if Saka's, and we might, we can talk about it now if you want. Has Saka locked up the left back now for you?
No.
No, Tony.
Short term, I don't know what happens once Tierney comes back.
Yeah. So short term, you've got Saka, Granit, Aubameyang down the left side. On the right side, you got Bellerin, Pepe. You've got Ozil floating in there, and then you've got Eddie. See, just the options of attack. I'm actually jizzing, boys. I'm just really, really impressed on our attacking components all working together now. Where before with Emery, I know Darren, you weren't, you were giving Emery a lot of time, but we just never seen this with Emery. Like, we all knew what Emery should be doing, but we never seen it. When now Arteta's come in, same players, and going, look, this is what I want.
I just always want to say it wasn't so much supporting Emery from me; it was supporting the club. The club said they want to give him time, they want to give him 18 months. I wanted to see him get his 3 transfer windows to build his own side. But I think we saw so quickly this season. I lost it 2 months before he got sacked. He was undefendable as a manager. He wasn't up to managing Arsenal Football Club. Now we've got a really strange situation where on the left side of attack we have 3 players. Saka, which is where, he is a left winger, isn't he? He's played left wing for the academy. He was originally a striker. That's when he first came into the team, was as a left-sided attacking player. And we probably would have seen him as a bit player if we hadn't have had the injuries at left back. We've got Aubameyang, who plays on the left, who's world class and up there with the leading scorer in the Premier League. And we've got Martinelli, who 2 weeks ago was the best player the club's ever seen, and he doesn't even get a game now. So that we've got an embarrassment of riches on the left side of attack. How he manages that when Tierney comes back, it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if you've noticed how much he keeps playing down Saka. And if we are talking about Saka now, Saka, we've all said, made that incredible contribution, incredible cross. And I thought we had quite a poor game as a left back. He gave the ball away quite a lot. He fell over towards the end, and Everton nearly scored. He played one crossfield ball that was 40 yards diagonal backwards that gave another Everton attack. I think he was, he looked like a left winger playing at left back. Tony?
Yeah, I was glad you said that, because you said something earlier and I thought you was going to say he had a great game. I think it's probably his worst game for us.
Yeah.
The ball for the goal is outrageous. We've covered that. But in terms of the whole, whatever it was, 18 minutes with stoppage time that he played, I'd argue he's one of our worst players on the pitch on the day.
Yeah.
Okay. Where we going?
But he is, and look, sorry, that sounds like we're being really negative. He's an 18-year-old kid who's playing out of his skin, who got found out against a good side. He wasn't very good.
I don't think he got found out. I think he just had a bad game. Like, he passes with just going astray at all times. But how bad when you have a bad game, out of position, you still win, you get an assist from a perfect ball. I mean, if you're going to have a bad game, that's probably the situation to do it in.
Did you listen to Arteta's press conference where he talks about him? Again, he mentions, he actually said that, didn't he? Someone said, look, Kolasinac went off and you've had to put Saka in, and it was a blessing because how great he was. And Arteta straight away said, great cross, but we also saw the areas of his game that he really needs to improve in, and we need to help him there. But he didn't play him, he didn't start him. I don't think he sees him as the future. So back to the question that you asked, Tez, no, I don't see he's locked down that left back spot at all. I think, the first opportunity he will play a recognised left back there. But I do see him getting opportunities in the side.
Okay, what else we got? So Everton got one just before half time, didn't they? Richarlison?
Yep.
Yes, he got one. Yeah. Tony, talk us through
it. I think it's Leno's fault. I just think he has to come and claim the ball. Look, it's messy. We've not been bad from set pieces for the last 2 or 3 years now defensively, but I thought we looked all at sea the other day. And as I said, they're a big side. They're good in the air. Richarlison is very good in the air, even though he's not the biggest. Calvert-Lewin's a big centre forward. Jerry Mina's a beast in the air. Even their players that you'd look at traditionally as not big men, like, I know Iwobi's trash in the air, but he's a big bloke. Sigurdsson, who is a number 10, is still a big bloke. We just looked all at sea from pretty much every set piece they had. And it was messy. But for me, I think Leno's just got to come and claim the ball. I don't know if he was worried about getting hurt. That was my initial reaction. that he didn't want to get kicked by Richarlison, which is unlike Leno. He's usually very brave, and he'll take the studs in the chest, which as a keeper you have to do. All keepers are a bit mental, and you have to be willing to get kicked in the face sometimes, and usually he does. But I feel like he was just a little bit hesitant, and then he get caught in two minds. Do I stay? Do I go? And ended up doing nothing really. And look, I'm not going to hammer him because I thought he was excellent in the second half, but I do think that's an error from him personally.
Mm-hmm. And you agree with that, Schwinn? Schwinn. Fucking Schwinn.
Schwinn? Did you just call me a cunt?
Why have I got Schwinn on the brain? Fuck me. I was actually just looking at the Twitter questions, and you wouldn't believe it. He's fucking asked the question.
Yeah, I did see that earlier. No, to be fair, I mean, I sort of with Tony in that you want your goalkeeper to come and take that. But after watching it again today, I thought it was David Luiz who dwelled on the line and didn't come out with the others. And he played them all onside when the ball comes back in, which, look, then you want your goalkeeper to come and make that. But Leno was on the line. Luiz played them all onside again. And as he rushes out, then Bellerin comes back in. It was they were all at sea. So I think, you want your goalkeeper to save that. I agree. You don't want a little bobbling ball to get, to go over your line. You want your goalkeeper to claim it. But I thought Luiz played them all onside, and if he'd have pushed out with the rest of them, then they would have all been offside, and it wouldn't have happened.
Going in, so obviously, yeah, we're at 2-2 going in at half time, and then Tony, 46 minute, we've come out, and Aubameyang's scored a goal, and I thought, fucking, you beauty.
Yeah, I think I said a few weeks ago on this, Aubameyang hadn't scored a header for us until it was the 27th of December, I think it was, whenever we played Chelsea at home. It was between Christmas and New Year. And then since then, he's got one against Newcastle, another this week. But it's the type of header I just really don't expect him to score. Like the Newcastle one, he's never going to get hurt. And the Chelsea one, he's never going to get hurt. There's no one really around him. He just had to out-jump someone. This one is a brave header, and he's not the type of player you see doing that usually. It's a good ball from Pepe. It's not fantastic. It's put into a good area. And Aubameyang's throwing his head in there knowing that he could get hurt. And you see crosses like that all the time where the striker gets wiped out. Great header, headed it down, done everything you're taught to do. Pickford was nowhere near it. I think it probably had a bit of a touch off Sidibe that took it beyond Pickford. But just fair play to Aubameyang, because that's just not a ball I expect him to go for, really.
Mm-hmm. Darren?
Yeah, 100% with Tony on this. When you look at the goal before where he runs onto one that's put through the back line and he uses his pace and puts one in the corner, that's an Aubameyang goal. That winner was just showed how much he's come on as a player for me. He's doing it for the team. He really did throw his head in there, and 100% I echo everything Tony said there. It was a great goal because it's not the sort of goal he would score.
Look, we can go on a little bit more. I suppose a couple of substitutions. Torreira came on, Ceballos went off, Ozil went off, and Guendouzi came on. Any thoughts on any of them? Because you did, Darren, because you mentioned substitutions and Arteta before.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason. He looks a very defensive coach when he's got his nose in front. He freshens legs. It's too early to say. He doesn't seem very reactive as a coach when it comes to making substitutions. None of them have really changed the game, but they were substitutions that made sense to me. We needed some fresh legs. We'd played 3 games in 8 days. People were tired. And love or hate Guendouzi, he runs around a lot, works hard for the team. So nothing exceptional about those substitutions. They were just necessary.
Tony, you agree with that, mate?
Yeah, I did think it was quite interesting the way he used Guendouzi, because we've always said sort of he's a bit of a headless chicken, a bit ill-disciplined in terms of he just runs where the ball is. And they pretty much used that as a strength. It was like, okay, just go and chase the ball, pressure whoever's got it. We don't care if it's the keeper, if it's the centre-backs. Just run around and make their life difficult. And he did. But we've never really seen him use like that. He's always been a bit deeper. He was almost he came on for Ozil and he was almost playing as a 10. Not that we had the ball much, but the way he pressed he was the highest person up a lot of the time. And it was just, go on, you've got energy, go and use it. We don't really care where, just run.
Tony, I was obviously I say I'd had a few beers watching the game, which was always fun. Ozil, who I always want to like, but more often than not struggle to find things to like in his game. He was fairly insignificant again, or was he just not that great, not that bad?
No, I thought the first half he was just nothing. Like, he wasn't really in the game, didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything right. I thought the second half, and it tends to be a lot of the time which is not what you expect from him, when we're backs against the wall, he's one of our more important players because you give him the ball, he holds it for 5 seconds, he 99% of the time finds another man in an Arsenal shirt, and it just sort of relieves a bit of pressure. I thought he was very good in the second half at the stuff that's never going to get any attention.
Right.
First half, when it's weird because I think he seems to have recently been a much better player when we've been sort of under pressure, which is sort of not really what you play Ozil for, but as long as he's doing that job, it helps us massively. And I think in years gone by, when we used to sort of defend and we'd have teams just having wave after wave of attack against us and generally concede, we missed that type of player that just held the ball, bring a bit of calmness, either sort of won a throw on or just gave it to another Arsenal player that wasn't under pressure and then went and got it again and just sort of gave the defence a rest. And I think we've kind of missed someone doing that for a long time. And I probably didn't expect Ozil would be the person that's done it, but I think he has.
Okay, let's get into our 3-2-1. Who wants to go first?
I don't mind. What, all three? So 3-2-1 straight away?
3-2-1. Just so it makes it easier for me to find it later. I was going through the old podcast and I'm like, and you talk about the three and then you go to the next plate and he talks about these three. I'm thinking, just fucking hurry up and say it. You can't. So yeah, 3-2-1. Tony, go for it.
3 Aubameyang, match winner. I think I read an interview of Gary Neville where he said he ran further than anyone else. He had more sprints than anyone else, so his intensity was higher than everyone else's. You just can't ask for more. To be honest, if he scored the 2 goals and sat still for the rest of the time, I'd probably still give him man of the match because he's a match winner. The other stuff are just bonuses. 2, Mustafi. I thought Hector was really bad, and I thought Mustafi covered him a hell of a lot of times. It feels a bit weird to concede 2 goals and be looking at a defender in the top 3, but I just feel he was basically doing 2 jobs. And 1, Granit, nothing exceptional, just keeps the play ticking over, covers for Saka. As we said, Saka didn't have the greatest of games, and Xhaka sort of always seemed to be in the position to clear up. Towards the end, when we were struggling a bit, he managed the game really well. I mean, when Eddie hit the bar, it was Granit that nicked the ball on the edge of their area, which you think there's 10 minutes to go, we're basically hanging on, and we've got our defensive midfielder sprinting 30 yards to nick the ball on the edge of their area. I thought he just read the game really well and done what it required at the right time. Just decision making was very good. And I know Tez is now having a wank because someone's given Granit points.
Somebody apart from me. Okay, Darren?
Well, let me just pick up on that point. I hope you've written these down so you don't have to search through the podcast to find out what our 3-2-1s are. I'm
doing it as we talk.
Yeah, so we could have talked them through 3, then 2, then 1, couldn't we? You're not looking back on this podcast to get them. Just to pick up on that, why Xhaka didn't get in my 3-2-1, and I should just do my 3-2-1. Towards the end, that great Leno save that we haven't talked about, that real, point-blank save that he made, Saka made a terrible mistake. They break away, the attack forms. And Xhaka plays them all onside because he's just in the wrong place. And when I was looking at my points,
he's gone to block the cross and he's on the touchline because that's where he was trying to block the cross. I know he was playing everyone onside. I'm not arguing with you there. I don't think there's anything he can do about it. If you're trying to block a cross on the touchline, you ain't. In general, you're not gonna get out. How many? You see it so many times.
Yeah, when the pitch is standing there with him, just standing there with his hand up, saying "offside, ref," when he's the one who's slaying the ball on.
If you're stuck in that position, I know VAR is gonna tell the truth these days, but he could. I think he couldn't get out of that position, and then you might as well claim when the rest of them are claiming. He knew full well he was onside, but there's not much he can really do.
No. All right, my 3-2-1. I've got my 3 to Mustafi. Let's hold fire on Mustafi because I noticed in the Twitter feed that there was quite a lot of stuff on Mustafi. I thought he was exceptional yesterday. A lot to talk about with Mustafi. I'm going to give 2 points to Pepe. I struggled to find a 2-1. I'm going to give one to Aubameyang because he scored 2 goals and he was great. But I knew that probably you two will give him 3, and he should get that. But Pepe, just for me, still excites me. I still think that he's getting better and better and better. He's getting more involved in all of the play going forward. His deliveries into the box are getting better. His confidence is up. I just love watching him. So 3 to Mustafi, 2 to Pepe, and 1 to our match winner Aubameyang.
Okay.
Des, what are yours?
Yeah, 3 for Aubameyang. Look, bloke scores 2 goals and we weren't criticising him, but we've always gone, look, left wing, we'd rather him up top. Just keep him going. He's now leading the goal scoring over Vardy now in the Premier League. Keep it coming. I can watch it every week. So he gets my 3. I agree with you, Darren, with Pepe, but because I like Granite, I'm going to have to give him that extra 1 because I like him, so I'm going to give Granite my 2. And Pepe gets my 1. I like watching Pepe. He's really coming on his own now. The assist was great. I'm just excited, boys, for this football that Arsenal's playing at the moment. It's actually, and if you're not excited, go and give yourself a fucking uppercut because this is exciting football again. And this is why I suppose most of us become Arsenal fans who are abroad. Like, I know you boys are closer to the action, but like, I love the attacking style football that Arteta's bringing at the moment. And Pepe, I just think he's going to be very, very good. Come next season, I'm excited to watch Pepe, what he brings. We spoke about Lacazette was meant to be that 20-25 goal bloke a season. I think it'll be Pepe. For me, Lacazette, his time's come, I think. So that's our 3-2-1. Darren, you wanted to talk about some information or some stuff you heard on Talk Sport. I can't remember the bloke's name.
I was only today coming back. Yeah, thanks, Tez. Coming back today, those of you who live in England, Talk Sport Drive Time show has Adrian Durham hosting an anti-Arsenal 3-hour show. It has been for years. I don't listen to him very often. I think he's an extremely good journalist. He knows how to wind people up. For me, he just wound me up enough. I don't listen to him anymore. But the conversation that he had today was about, because he always tries to wind Arsenal fans up, was to say that this Liverpool side of this year is so much better than the Invincibles of Arsenal. And that's a debate that we can have amongst ourselves. But at the weekend, I had some friends over for a beer at my house, and there was a Chelsea fan. There was a few guys, and I brought this up, before listening to this Adrian Durham show, and my point on Liverpool in my lifetime are probably the most exceptional team because of the relentless success that they've had. I don't ever remember a team, even the Liverpool teams of the 70s and early 80s, Manchester United teams of the 90s. I don't remember any team having this level of success. But my point was that I wouldn't cross the road to watch Liverpool. I don't care when they're on the television because the style of play where they're just pressing, this gegenpress technique, they've got a few great players, but it's a relentless team performance. And I'm saying they're excellent, but I would much rather watch Arsenal Invincibles team. I'd much rather watch the late 1990s Manchester United team, the class of 92, playing at their best. And I'd much rather see them watch the Manchester City side of last year and the year before. This Liverpool side, if they go on to become unbeaten, it will fucking hurt because I don't think that they're the sort of football that I want to watch. And it was just something that I heard about today, and I think they're really, really efficient. I just don't think they're really great.
I agree.
Any comments?
Look, yeah. I before I go to Tony and get his thoughts, look, I agree with what you're saying, and I understand. Well, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to take off my rosy coloured glasses because if I kept them rosy-coloured glasses on, everything you say I agree with. But I have to acknowledge that for me, this Liverpool team is probably the best that I've seen in the Premier League. And I have followed the Premier League, for quite a number of years. I think, and I might get a little bit of hate. I think they're better than the Invincibles. I think this Liverpool team, they're just class, and a lot has to go to what Klopp has done. Like, he brought in Mo Salah. The players he's brought in is just the style of football that they play.
One season wonder.
No, like Mo Salah's come in, right? So then they go to a Champions League final. They lose the Champions League final. So he goes, I've got to go out and get a decent goalkeeper. So what's he do? He goes and gets Alisson from Roma. And as people know, I'm a Roma fan as well. We have missed him, but he's gone on to bigger and better things. He has built that team from the ground up. They were a team coming, 5 years ago, 6th, 7th? And he has done fucking wonders with that team. I
don't know if you didn't hear me. They are a great side. They are a great side. I said in my lifetime of watching top flight football, I don't think I've seen anyone have that level of success. It's just the way I just don't see that they are as fun to watch as some say. And when I talk about the Arsenal Invincibles, I don't think the Arsenal Invincibles was the best side. I think 2 years before the Invincibles was a much, much, much better Arsenal side to watch. It's just that we happened to go that year unbeaten. But when we had, Lundberg one side, Perez the other, Bergkamp, Henry right on the bench, we still had the back four. It was an incredible side to watch playing football. Vieira, Petit in the middle. Honestly, that was just a joy to watch.
And that's why I said I understand where you're coming from. But what Klopp's done at Liverpool, I just think it's a magnificent team and what he's done, like people go, yeah, but he spent a lot of money, but he's fucking balanced them books every window. Like, yeah, he's spent a lot of money, but then he's put players, he's also sold players to balance books. He hasn't done like Pep has done at City and just spend. And that's a big difference, I think, for me anyway. But I put the rosy-coloured glasses back on, and I agree with everything you say. But if you like to watch a brilliant team play week in, week out, go and watch Barcelona for the last 5 years. Like, if that's the style of football that you get out of watching, there's your team right there, Barcelona. Anyway, I'll go to Tony. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm somewhere between the two. I agree with Darren that they're not the best watch, but they are a fantastic team. And at the end of the day, it's about winning. And they're doing it, and they're doing it at a canter. They're pissing the league, to be honest. I've never seen anyone win it this easy. They'll win it earlier probably than any other team's ever won it, or to the best of my knowledge anyway. I think if they win their next 4 games, they've won the league. It's fucking crazy. I think it was their first game in February that they were guaranteed top 4, like from their points tally up until February. It's absolutely madness. But I do agree that they're not the best team to watch. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that it's not the fluid football. But again, it's what you like. There's other fans that don't like they like the high intensity press, and they don't like the pass and move that maybe the Invincibles or the 2002 or even the 1998 team for us had. I was always of the opinion that the Man United teams were under Fergie were never a fantastic watch. They're very functional. They in general had 2 great wingers and 2 great strikers. And I'm not saying the other players were shit, but in general, it was get the ball wide to Beckham, and he'd either put in a great ball that someone would score, or Gary Neville would go on the overlap, who would put in a great ball and someone would score. And on the other side, Giggs would do the same thing. They were a fantastic team, but for me, and people can disagree, again, it's all about opinions and what you like. For me, they weren't a great watch either. I don't know, because I like fast, exciting players, I probably prefer watching this Liverpool team to that United team, but I don't think any of them are as good to watch as the Invincibles or any Arsenal team, probably for between 98 and probably 2005, 2006, and then there's a period in 2008, I think it was, whenever Nasri was exceptional, maybe after that 2011, whatever it was, where I thought Arsenal were probably at their best to watch then, but we used to lose sort of 1 or 2 games a month. So look, what the team looks like to watch doesn't get you anything. But I do agree that they're not a fantastic watch, but they are a fantastic side.
There is a great stat. There is a great stat that I heard today. Liverpool have got the same amount of points now that Manchester United got when they won the Premier League in 1999 when they did the treble.
Yeah, and that was won on the last day.
Yeah, and I've got to say, I think that treble team of Manchester United with, I talked about this on a podcast last week. That was a team, Schmeichel, Keane, Giggs, Beckham. It was everywhere you looked, Irwin. Everywhere you looked on that pitch, there was talent. I thought it was the most, real perfect team. But one other point on that.
Darren, just quickly before you go to that, I just want to ask you something. If Liverpool go on they've wrapped up the Premier League, correct? This year.
Yeah.
They won the Champions League last year. They were in the finals the year before. If they go on and win the Champions League this year, where does that rank them in terms of teams in Europe for you in the last 5 years? Of the greatest all-time teams.
The Champions League is a strange one because it's a cup competition, and not always the best team in Europe wins the cup. It's like, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Liverpool, but we've seen finals over the last few years. They haven't. Tottenham the best team when Liverpool won the Champions League a few years back, they finished 5th in the Premier League. There was 4 better teams above them in the Premier League. So it's a cup competition. Now, I'm not saying the worst team wins it, but Porto won it. Liverpool won it when they were the 5th best team in the Premier League. It's a cup competition. If they can win it back to back, they really are up there because this is an incredible team. I'm not. Please listen to me. I'm not saying they're a bad side. I'm saying they're one of the greatest teams by a manner of results that I've probably ever seen. I've never, in all of my years of watching football, I've never seen a team. Liverpool used to dominate the Premier of the top flight of football in the 70s and 80s. Absolutely dominate it. But they never dominated it to this level, to this extent that this Liverpool team is doing. So I absolutely acknowledge this is something incredible that we are watching. But I just don't think they're the best team I've watched.
To watch, I understand.
But I just wanted to make one comparison. In 1991, I think it was 91, Arsenal won the league and only lost 1 game away at Chelsea. Nobody even thinks about that. That's how close it, because the game was just after Christmas. We lost 1-0 or 2-1 at Chelsea. Tony Adams was in prison. Steve Bolt got sent off from memory. I was at the game, standing in that shithole of the Chelsea ground as it was in those days. And that team was so efficient. That was George Graham's 1-0 to the Arsenal at their absolute best. We were the best team in the league. We lost 1 game that year. Liverpool could end up losing 1 game this year, and nobody talks about them. But nobody talks about that Arsenal team because it was efficient. We won 1-0 every week. It was sort of where I am with Liverpool. No one will remember that team at all, but it was almost unbeaten in the season. Anyway, just wanted to mention that.
Enjoy.
Thought it was an interesting topic.
Yeah, good little chat. And now I'm going to put my rosy-coloured glasses back on. And Liverpool are an absolute bunch of cunts, and their fans are fucking worse. They can go and fuck themselves, and miserable cunts. Well, they're not miserable. They're fucking too chirpy for me. Okay, well, let's get into some questions. You can get these questions to us. Usually after the game, I throw them up on Twitter or Facebook. I did do Facebook this week, and our WhatsApp group. So we'll start with Romy. Tony, it seems Aubameyang has added headers to his game. If you could add anything else to his game, what would it be? And Tony, you're on mute.
I am. I actually just had something resting on my keyboard, and it must have been resting on the enter key because I could see my microphone going mute, unmute, mute, unmute, unmute, and I didn't know what one it got stuck on. I think the obvious answer would be hold up play, because that's when the always argument was about him not playing in the middle, was that Lacazette holds the ball better and links other people into play, which he does. I don't know if adding hold up play would ruin Aubameyang, in all honesty. because then if you come in short instead of going towards the goal and spinning in and using his pace, then it gives too many options in a way. You want him just to be so single-minded that he is, and he's going to get on the end of things. But it's the obvious answer. It's the obvious answer because it's what he's not very good at. But I don't know if it would improve him.
Just on Aubameyang quickly, and obviously I'm going to be very biased here again, but I'm trying not to be, okay? Aubameyang, so he's proved it at Dortmund in the Bundesliga, and he's now proved it in the Premier League. He has to be up there with one of the, apart from Suarez, I'd probably put Aubameyang top 3 strikers in the world. With Suarez, Aubameyang, and trying to think who else. And only because them two have proved it in 2 different leagues. That's the only reason.
I would have him second to Lewandowski, but my argument has always been I think he's the second best 9 in the world. It's been like that for a while, but he's not been playing at 9, so it makes the... Then you start comparing him with
Messi,
potentially Ronaldo, potentially Messi, potentially Mane, potentially Salah, Hazard. I know Hazard plays a role slightly differently in that he doesn't score as many goals, but he's a better footballer. Sterling, Bernardo Silva. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I had him at second 9 in the world, second best 9 in the world, I think it's just because 9's a pretty weak position at the moment in throughout world football. But I think where he has been playing wide, you kind of have to put him in a different bracket, and he definitely ain't second in that bracket.
No. See where you come from there. I'm going to fucking balls this name up. Anyway, we'll just go at common_name. That's his Twitter thing. Darren, though players like Granit, Mustafi, Luiz, Kolasinac have performed well under Arteta, if we want to reach the next level, we have to sell them and buy better quality players. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw that question earlier. We're not a Premier League winning team at the moment. You know, we're way past those years where it's looking at our players and going, well, he's not good enough. But I think it's a very good general comment. I look at our Arsenal team, our Arsenal squad, and it is full of good and very good players. But I don't think there's a world-class player in there. I really don't think there is a single world-class player. And
in the whole team?
Yeah, I just don't think they're very good players. But I don't think there's any one of those players that is really a world-class player. And I'm not saying that our teams in the past have always been filled with world-class players, but there's always been 3 or 4 up until maybe a decade ago. And I think that's really is the issue now, is that I might be being a little bit unkind to 1 or 2, but there is no Thierry Henry. I'll even quote him right. There's no Patrick Vieira. There's no Tony Adams.
Players before they came to Arsenal, though.
I don't know if that matters. When Thierry Henry was playing, he was the best in the world. Robert Pires was one of the best in the world. Liam Brady was one of the best in the world. Tony Adams was one of the best in the world. You know, I mean, throughout our teams, you know, Patrick Vieira, Bergkamp, every team that we've had, there's been somebody that, you know, the world would bow to, and we've gone past that now. So I sort of agree with the question. Is that I think we're going to have to face facts, and unless we get in the Champions League, we've got no chance of keeping Aubameyang and probably Lacazette as well. Xhaka has been a very good player for us. You know, we've fallen out with him at times, but consistently he plays well. Is he world class? Is he the player that's going to take us to the next level? And I think it's going to be a slow process, but I don't know where these players are anymore. We just don't seem to have anyone that is world class for me.
For me, Aubameyang's world class. That's one world class player. I would almost say, well, definitely, I would say an Ozil is a world class player.
Oh, come on. Maybe 4 years ago he was a world-class player.
No.
Jesus.
Any club would want Ozil in their team. I think Manchester United, Chelsea. I'm not the biggest Ozil fan, as a lot of people know. I understand that he has these weaknesses in his game, not weaknesses, but all of a sudden he goes missing and stuff. But you look at what he actually does in games, and let's forget about the Emery era with Ozil, because for me, Ozil was non-existent due to Emery. But now Arteta's using Ozil. I see, look, and you asked the question about, to Tony earlier, what is Ozil, what does he, what was his thoughts on the game yesterday? And I agree, he wasn't missing, but he wasn't doing brilliant stuff. But when Ozil's on, mate, he's a world-class player.
Last assist away from home, January 2018.
Yeah, but how many games has he played under Emery? How many games did he play?
World class. Maybe 4 years ago when we bought him. Maybe that season he had 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when he was leading the assists in the Premier League. Yes. But for the last 2 years, 3 years, Ozil up there, world class? No. A good player, a very good player. World class? No.
Okay.
Love him to have been. We bought him to be. But world class? Last 2-3 years? No.
Geez, I'd love to see your world class 11.
Well, it wouldn't have Ozil, would it?
Okay, let's go.
Can I just butt in on the original question?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to sound so disrespectful to whoever's asked the question, or anyone in general. The FIFA generation has fucked the world's opinion on football, because people don't want to coach anyone anymore. They just, get someone new, get someone better. Arteta in like 8 weeks has made Mustafi a better player, Xhaka a better player, just off the bat in 8 weeks. And pretty much most players have improved while he's been there. You look at this Liverpool team, and when they brought Wijnaldum, Henderson, Joe Gomez, Trent Alexander-Arnold came from youth team, Andy fucking Robertson had just been relegated. Salah was okay at Roma. He wasn't world class. But now it's like, Xhaka's not world class, move him on, get someone new. No, get a fucking coach that can do their job properly. I'm so bored of this, just buy world class all the time. It's not going to happen.
Just say, Tony, I absolutely 100% agree with you. I mean, I think Aubameyang and Lacazette will probably lose because they, as Arteta said, they want to be playing Champions League football, and if we don't get there, we may lose them. But absolutely right. If we can make Joe Willock world class, if we can make Saka world class, if we can turn average players into or very good players into world class, absolutely right. Because, where do we go and buy them from? We're not the richest club in the world.
Yeah, but the world seems to not want to work like that anymore. It seems to want to be, he's good, but he can't get us to the next level. No, get a manager to do their job or a coach to do their job properly. Agreed. And make them players who get to the next level. No Liverpool fan or no one even... Look, for me, Mane is probably on form the best player in the world at the moment. Probably. He's in the argument anyway. People were laughing when they brought him from Southampton for 38 million or 35 million, whatever it was. Like, you can't just go out and buy world-class players all the time. That football is still about coaching and making players better. When we brought Henry, he wasn't world-class. When we brought Pires, he wasn't world-class. The only Bergkamp probably was. He just had a bit of a shit season. Vieira was unknown pretty much. Like, just improve players. Stop this, we've got to get world-class all the time. Make them world-class.
Couldn't agree more. I'm just saying we haven't got any, but we seem to have a coach.
No, I disagree with you. I think Aubameyang is. I think Aubameyang is the only one that is. I've got a very harsh definition of world class, and I've been moaned at on here for years about my definition of world class. But I think Aubameyang is. But beyond that, I don't think we have any others. But again, when people say, do we have to buy to get to the next level? No, if you get a coach that can do their job.
Leicester City.
Yeah. Okay, JJ or at Duck Farm 97 says, what have you thought of Arteta's substitution in this game or overall? I find he is very slow to react and doesn't impact the game with his in-game management. I prefer a 60 to 70 minute sub, and today I thought we needed Lacazette on in the 60th minute to hold up the ball and keep possession. I'll go to Tony because Darren did speak about substitutions before.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a bit of a weird one because you've got, I said it even last week on the podcast about this game, you've got two ways of doing it. You've got to Lacazette can try and hold it up against very strong defenders and could quite comfortably lose that battle. Nothing against him. They've just got very strong centre-backs. Or you can go the other way and put the ball into the corner for Eddie to chase. It's not as dangerous. It probably wastes a bit more time. And he's favourite there, and he's favourite in a race against Mina and Mason Holgate. So you've got two ways of doing it. You've also got to remember, we made an early sub through injury. Ceballos was never going to last 90. So there's two of your subs out the way there. Look, we won the game, and so you can't really say he's wrong. And as I said earlier, it's one of the questions that if we don't win the game, you can probably ask and criticise. I don't know if it's the right decision. Oh, look, I was sitting in the stand saying the same thing. Do I keep it the same and play into the corners and try and drag ourselves up the pitch? Or do we get Lacazette to hold the ball? There's no right and wrong answer, and you're justified by the result. And as I said, if we lose that game, then you probably say he's made the wrong decision. But when we've won it, and Eddie did cause problems, especially late on, running into the corners. As I said, he hit the bar late on, but he ran into the corners countless times, and just, even if he gave away a goal kick at the end of it, it wasted 10, 15 seconds. So look, the result proves Arteta right. But I mean, that's not a great metric to go on, but it's all we've got.
Yeah, it's too hard. Like, the game changes. Like, we came out, we scored that goal 3-2, right? And I'll be honest, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you beauty, we're 3-2 up. Now, I look at our defenders and go, come on, lads, you've just got to fucking... Just don't let another goal get in, right? I don't care how you fucking do it, just I don't want another goal. Because when we go up 3-2 and there's still, 40 minutes left of the game, I think, well, we're going to concede here very soon. Like, it's just the Arsenal way. It just seems that's what happens. Substitutions came in, and I wasn't going, oh, why? I'm thinking, oh, well, let's see what happens. It was still a good result. We won the game 3-2. We didn't concede like we usually do. So look, I was at the end of the day, you got to be happy with the result. You boys feel that every time we fucking go down, you're going to concede very soon.
I don't think we played very... I mean, look, I'm a huge Arsenal fan and I love the game. We didn't play particularly well. We had spells where we were really exciting going forward. But over the 90 minutes, I'm never going to quote XG again on this, but I think I saw it on the Arsenal assessment today that they did, the breakdown programme that they did. We should have lost it 2-1. Our keeper made an exceptional save with 15 minutes to go. They missed some good chances. We weren't very good. We were hanging on for periods of the game. But there's something really great and fresh about that team at the moment, that they've played 3 games in 7-8 days. The crowd were with them, the team wanted to do it, we didn't stop working, and that's what made it such a great game. It wasn't a great performance, it was a performance of a lot of tired players who had played a lot of football, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was. Romy says, if you had to keep one of our loan players for next year, who would it be? El Neni, Mkhitaryan or Mavropanos? I'm just going to add, and I don't know, you boys probably don't watch much Italian football, Mkhitaryan is having the fucking season of his life at Roma. Yes, he was injured early in the piece, but he has come back and, oh, mate, he has been fucking absolutely brilliant. I think he's got about 5 or 6 goals for the season. He's got a couple of assists there, and he has been a really playing really good football. It's the Mkhitaryan of Dortmund days, apparently. So, but do I want him back in an Arsenal shirt next year? No. And not because I'm a Roma fan. I just don't think he's good enough for the Premier League.
Not even that. He doesn't fit in any position in this team.
Yeah.
It's just like you look at the team and he's not good enough as a 10. He's not a proper winger. And look, there's a few players like that. It's not saying they're not good players. I mean, I don't particularly think he is, but it's not saying they're not good players. They just don't fit in anywhere. And look, for me, the obvious, well, not obvious, but the answer I'd probably go is Mavropanos, just because of his age. I don't think he'll be good enough ever for Arsenal. When everyone was going mad about him after 2 games, I said that then, and I stick by it. Apparently he's doing really well out on loan, but just because of age, look, we know El Neni's never going to be a world beater at Arsenal. we're pretty sure that Mkhitaryan's never going to pull up trees at Arsenal. I'm pretty sure Mavropanos won't, but he's got age on his side and he's not really had the chances the others have had. But in all honesty, I'd probably sell all three of them.
Yeah. No, Mavropanos. Does anyone know?
Aren't we arguing against our own argument from the last question? When you see what Arteta's, I mean, wasn't Mkhitaryan the Bundesliga Player of the Year 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe now, and he goes to Manchester United, plays under one or two different managers who just didn't like him. I know one of them being Mourinho, destroyed him. Comes to play for Arsenal under Unai Emery, who destroyed a lot of players, maybe Ozil included, and if we could get Arteta to get him to rediscover that form.
My argument with Mickey is that we'd have to change the whole system to fit in Mickey. And there's very few players I would change a whole system to fit in a team. And no, nothing against him. Henrik Mkhitaryan isn't one of them.
I just don't know what system we are playing at the moment, with Ozil and Ceballos in. I mean, I looked at that team. I still don't really know how it balances and works. But as if you're a manager, surely you want the best tools around. And the question, look, I'm not saying Mkhitaryan is the one that we want to come back, but the question says, which one of those loan players would you have back? Mavropanos looks nothing. El Neni is never going to get into that side. So I would absolutely take Mkhitaryan back.
There's no two ways about it. Mkhitaryan's the best of them three players. I'm not even considering doubting that. I just think age, contract he's on, where he fits in this team, and all three of them are big red flags for me.
I'm just gonna add, and Tony, you were talking about systems and whatnot that Arsenal play, and just if you actually watch the system Roma play, and you'll understand why Mkhitaryan is fitting there so well. Like you have Zeko up top, and we play the one lone striker up top. And Mkhitaryan is playing on the left wing, but Roma is suiting him because of the way they are playing. Arsenal and Manchester United never suited the way he plays. Why?
I think there's a bit that the Premier League doesn't suit him.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The Premier League.
Speed, the pace, maybe he isn't.
Yeah.
Quite good enough to play at the Premier League.
Okay, Romy says Pepe has 6 goals and 8 assists in all comps. How do you feel about him so far? Does he pass your eye test, Darren?
Yeah, definitely. He's getting better and better. I think I've given him points in my 3-2-1 every time I come on the podcast. So that's every 6 weeks. And I think he's getting better and better. He potentially could be that when I say there's no world class players in our side, I said there's some very, very good players. Please remember that, some very good players on our side, and I think he is one of them. And under Arteta, he seems to be growing in confidence. I love watching him, and he went through that first 10 games without really doing anything. And I really think the chance he missed at Anfield in the second game of the season, if that had gone in, he might just have exploded onto the scene. You can see now he's scoring goals, he's enjoying his football, and he's getting better and better. Yeah, I think he's great.
Okay, considering the way I'm trying to think of this guy is the Every Minds. Okay, at the Lights Buzz. These cunts have some queer names, don't they? What dead set? How do you even think of that? Do you sit there and think, what's my Twitter handle going to be? At the Lights Buzz. The other bloke, Romy, at the Kindly Boy. I couldn't even think of this shit. I couldn't make this shit up.
There's a lot of things you can't do.
Yeah, and I was going to say, you just be nice to our fucking listeners. Yeah.
Anyway.
He's a cunt. What are you fucking talking about here? Fuck me, he's a cunt and all. Fucking hell, why is he fucking listening to us? He can't even fucking write a fucking good Twitter handle, cunt.
Yeah, anyway, you wrap that up. Considering the way we've been playing, that's our top 4 Champions League chances, either through Europa inclusive. Tony?
I don't think you asked the question then.
Considering the way we've been playing, What's our top 4 Champions League chances? Either through Europa... yes.
Yeah, you missed out the what last time, which is the crucial part of the question.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. Would you want me to put a number on it, a percentage on it? I don't know. Look, we're in the shout. That's...
Okay,
I agree with
are we going to get top 4 in your mind?
No.
Okay, Europa League, are we going to win it?
Chance. Look, I'm not saying definitely no. So, look, that's what I mean. What chance have we got? I don't know. As I said, how do you want me to answer it? What do you want me to say? 30%? 20%?
You come up against AC Milan in the final. Do we win it?
Well, they're not in it, so we don't come up against them in the final. It'd be fucking miraculous.
I was trying to throw you under the bus. And okay, who do we come up with? Who's in the Europa League?
I'm not saying we'll get to the final. Look, it's a cup competition. We're one game away from the last 16. The last 16. We're fucking miles away from the end of the competition. Have we got a chance? Yes, I think the bookies have got us third or fourth favourites. Of course we've got a chance. Am I going to sit in now and say, lads, we're winning Europa League, book your flights to Gdansk because they're only £130? No, I'm not going to say that. Do we have a chance? Yes. Do we have a chance of coming top 4 or 5? Yes. Is it likely? No. The Europa League is more likely than coming top 4 or top 5. But I agree with what Arteta said. You win the next 4 games, and he said that, I think, just after the Newcastle game, and you're in with a real shout because of the way the league is. We've now got rid of what is the hardest game in that period on paper. So just you've got to assess it week by week and see in a month's time if we've got another 12 points, we'll probably be in 5th or 6th and on the coattails of 4th.
Yeah,
but that's ifs, buts, and maybes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If I was a betting man, would I put £200 on Arsenal to be in the Champions League next season, or £2,000 or £20,000, whatever number you want to choose? No, I wouldn't.
Who's the most scariest team for you in the Europa League at the moment?
I don't know. I think Inter Milan will throw it if they're in a title race, so I hope they are, because I think they're a good team. But they're also, they've got players like Victor Moses and Ashley Young and starting all the time for them, and they're not exactly world beaters, are they? But Conte tends to throw cup competitions unless they're not in the shout of the league. Even the FA Cup final, we beat them. He obviously didn't throw the final, but every round before that, including the semis, he played a weak team because he was focusing on the league. So I think Inter Milan will chuck it, and they're one of the few teams above us in the betting. Ajax lost. So it looks like Ajax are going out, who a lot of people would have been fearful of. I don't know. The German teams tend to be quite strong, but we pissed Frankfurt away and then we was piss poor against them at home. But I'd be confident over 2 legs against them.
Manchester United warrior.
I think we should beat them over 2 legs if we got them. We've not lost to them this season. We didn't lose to them last season in the league. We lost to them in the cup. But again, would I guarantee we're going to beat them if we get them? No, but I don't think it wouldn't be a draw where I go, oh shit, we're going to lose this.
You're doing a lot of cackling there, Darren. What's your thoughts on your
I was just booking me flight. While you were talking, I was just booking me flight to Gdansk.
On special.
Hang on, that's all booked. I'm just putting a bet on.
Okay.
Do you know what? I mean, Tony's right. Of course, we don't know, but I think I looked at the fixtures for the next month about 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago. I looked at all the fixtures coming up in the Premier League, and there is a month where it's really sort of freaky that everyone above us plays each other. And we, apart from the Everton game, have got a run of games that we can win. Now, we've been saying that all season. Until the last 2 weeks, we'd won 2 in 14, I think. So if we can do what Arteta says and put a run together, Tony's right. We'll be there or thereabouts. There's a lot of teams ahead of us. But if Manchester City don't win their appeal, top 5 might just be enough. But we've got to win some games. And I do think we can win the Europa League. Absolutely do think we can, because we're enjoying our football again. We're playing well, and no one is going to want to play us. I think Manchester United and Wolves, because Man United are going to be so desperate to win the competition, they're going to be tough. And Wolves, do you fancy us 2 legs against Wolves these days? Whoa.
I was going to mention that, but I thought, nah, stay. I could go there all day, to be honest, looking at games and yeah.
But we can win with the Arsenal. We can.
Yeah. I think even if we win every game in the Premier League, we still won't have enough points to get the top 4.
We'll finish second if we win every game.
Yeah, but then you got to look at every other team winning their games.
Or maybe third.
We would definitely come in the top 4 if we won every game.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah. Look, everyone's dropping points and everyone's got to play each other, so they're dropping points against each other, which means one team at least is dropping points. And then if we're beating them, they're 6-pointers.
So if you look at the next month, they're all playing each other. It's freaky. It started last weekend. Chelsea played Manchester United, and Tottenham played Chelsea. They are all playing each other in the next month.
This week.
Yeah, we win our games, then we've got a real chance.
I don't know. I disagree with both of you. And it's
I don't just will come top 4.
Well, there's 33 points up for grabs. So we're on 37 now. That levels us at 70. Okay, look, Jesus, we've got to rely on a lot of fucking results to go our way. Not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying, as a betting man, I don't like.
If we get 70 points, we're 100% in the top 4.
Agreed.
We're in a shot.
The problem we've got, Tez.
I don't think we're there.
The problem we've got, Tez, is that we'll probably we could win our next 4, and then we come up against a little spell of games where we've got to play Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham. And, are we going to win those 3? That's, if we're on great form by then and we're beating teams, but if we play like we did on Sunday against Everton, we probably won't.
When's the City game been rearranged for? I didn't think it had been announced yet.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying, I know that we've got those 3 in a...
No, because it's meant to have City this weekend, but because they're in the cup final, it's been moved to an unannounced date as of yet, I believe, unless it's been announced, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't.
Yeah.
Well, also, Darren, like you got to look at. I see what you're saying. City, we've got Spurs, we've got Leicester City, and Liverpool. Like Wolves away aren't easy. So look, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it is. It's a hard road, and look, I hope it can be done. I hope I'm proven wrong. Okay, we better pump these questions. I was weird for fucking ever. Halls and Marbles. Oh no, hang on. Romy says, do you think it's time for fans to accept that Aubameyang will be played out wide and not central for Arsenal, or is it Arteta playing him there out of necessity? He's still joint top goal scorer. Any comments on that, boys?
Seems like he's going to continue to play him now.
Halls and Marbles, shouldn't we have 2 specialists for each position? At the least, should the club learn going forward that playing Maitland-Niles at right back should be a no-no, and I'm happy that we won but was dropping Lacazette, who scored in his 2 prior games. Wise, Tony?
Well, I mean, does Cedric Suarez not exist? Have we not got 2 right backs?
Yeah.
Or did I dream we signed him?
I was wondering that the other
night. In
an
ideal world, you have 2 excellent players in every position, but let's look. Liverpool were arguably the best team in Europe, 1,000,000% the best team in the league. Who's their second choice left back? James Milner, specialist left back? No. Oh, okay. So City's second choice left back, Zinchenko. Oh, centre midfielder. Okay, yeah, fine. So if these teams with their money and their success haven't got 2 specialist players in every position, I don't know why people expect us to. There's probably not any team in the league that has 2 specialist players for every position. In an ideal world, it'd be fantastic, but probably never going to happen. In terms of the Lacazette thing, I was probably surprised he didn't play, in all honesty, but I thought he was poor on Thursday. Got the winner, well done. And look, the amount of times when Aubameyang was played through the middle, I said I don't really care how he plays if he scores the winner, so I'm not criticising Lacazette for it. But when you look ahead to the next game, you don't only judge who scored the goal. Against Newcastle, we got a goal and assist in about 4 minutes. But again, we kind of picked up last week. His goal was very lucky. And for me, he should have shot when he got the assist. Is that enough to warrant him a place in the team? No, probably not. It doesn't guarantee you a place in the team. And it all just depended on philosophy. I don't think he was unlucky to get dropped. In the same way, but in the same sense, I wouldn't have thought he was lucky if he started. It was just whatever Arteta wanted to go with. Did he want to go with a bit of a more live wire, more likely to be in the box? Because again, nothing against Lacazette. He's a better player than Eddie Nketiah. he wouldn't have scored that goal because he wouldn't have been there. So it was just all on what approach Arteta wanted to go with, and he chose the pacey live wire, the guy that's going to be in the box. That's the way he wanted to play that game. And if he's going to want to play like that, then Lacazette's not going to start.
Tony's just going on. There's a couple more questions from Halls of Marble as well, who asked that. And it's all around the Lacazette stuff. So as an extreme left field option, should Aubameyang or Lacazette leave, would resigning Giroud be an option? Or re-signing Giroud be an option? I personally detest him since he mocked us after beating us in the Europa League final. And then he says, is Aubameyang the best striker we've had since Henry?
I like Giroud. I think he's a good player. I think he was he was treated quite badly by our fans, but I wouldn't take him back. I think it's just a step backwards. It's also a complete different style from how we play. And yes, I see that could be a option as a plan B, but if your players are all geared to play in a certain way, then you don't want someone that is completely alien to that. Like we've seen that he's using Eddie, who's got more pace and more likely to be in the box, above Lacazette, who's a good hold-up man. So Arteta doesn't want a hold-up man, a pin man, a target man. So I wouldn't bring Giroud back, but I don't have any hatred to him for after the Europa League final. We let him go. He didn't really want to go. And he scored in the European final against us. I don't think he was particularly disrespectful. He celebrated his win as I would. What was the second part of the question?
Second part of the question was he is he the best striker? Is Aubameyang the best striker since Thierry Henry?
I personally, and a lot of people probably won't agree with me, I think Van Persie was better. Different. Van Persie done more. Aubameyang's a better goal scorer, out and out goal scorer. I think like you can play him out of position. You can pretty much put him on anywhere on the pitch, and you know he's going to score goals. He also seems, I don't want to curse this, and I'm touching wood, he seems to never get injured. Whereas Van Persie, we know that was a problem. But I think in just technically as a footballer as a whole, I think Van Persie is probably better. There's an argument. I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. I probably favour Van Persie, especially the last 2 years. Like we was a shit team, probably about the same level we are now, and he was getting 30 plus goals, and he had no one else around him.
Mm-hmm. No,
it's a strange comparison though, isn't it? It's like saying, Aubameyang is a 7 Series BMW, but Thierry Henry is a Mercedes Formula One car. There's no comparison.
What's Van Persie then?
Is a fucking 2-bit Ford Fiesta that I would set on fire if I saw it. I'd steal it, take it into a field and set it on fire.
Now take off the rosy coloured glasses.
All right, sorry, I'd piss on it and then I'd set it on fire.
So would you say Aubameyang's our best since Henry?
There hasn't been much. It's such a high bar and such a low bar to follow. I think Aubameyang and Van Persie are very similar. I think they both scored. Van Persie's all-round game, like you said, was probably better. He held the ball up well. But I have so little time for Van Persie that I've sort of wiped everything from my memory of anything good that he ever did.
Okay.
The one player when I was doing I'm sure I've told you this story. When I was doing the podcast in India, I went to Arsenal. They invited me in to one of the Arsene Wenger press conferences, and I went up to the marketing department because they were supporting this podcast I was doing in India. And I said, well, why? And they were promoting me. They were putting me on their Twitter page and stuff, and in India. And I said, why can't you officially support me? Why can't you, actually say this is the Arsenal podcast in India? And the guy said, no, look, we don't want to censor you on what you're saying, but you don't always toe the Arsenal line. And I said, come on, if you've listened to me, I'm a proper Arsenal fan. I've been going for years. I'm generally very supportive. Why don't you support me? And he said, well, in your last episode, you said you wouldn't piss on Robin Van Persie if he was on fire. And he said that may not, we may agree with you, but that certainly cannot be the Arsenal company line. So, yeah, you can't, honestly, Van Persie for me is we that guy, when he joined the club, We supported him through a rape case in his first year. He got sent off about 3 times in his first 6 months for petulance. He then was injured for 7 years on and off, and we supported him and paid his wages. He has one fucking good season, and then he fucks off. No, got no time for that cunt whatsoever.
Okay, let's hope you have better time for this one, because Gooner Goose has asked, Arsenal are winning but not happy with Leno. Why? And there's an article, I just reading the article now as you're talking. Should be sold. Many Arsenal fans lay into the player who must improve. And there's must be lots of tweets, so I missed it.
I would like to quantify how many is. I'm not Leno's biggest fan, but I'm not demanding he's sold or there's a change made. So when they say many Arsenal fans are against him or whatever you just said,
yep.
How many is many? Is 2? Is 3? Because I didn't see. I thought the reaction he got was more positive than I expected. Because I come away thinking, look, the second goal's his fault, as I said earlier. But and then he had a very good second half. But I expected sort of a bit of criticism because the goal was his fault. And everyone was just saying how he sort of kept us in the game in the second half. I saw people claiming he was man in the match. I was actually pleasantly surprised that there wasn't more hate. So I don't know where this article is coming from.
No, I've just opened the article. It was from footballtransfertavern.com, and it's got lots of. I don't even know who they are. But there's lots of tweets from Arsenal fans. So LT Arsenal, we all know him. I see a bit of his stuff. Leno has been class for us, and it has been a tad harsh to criticise him for the second goal. But if there is one area for him to work on, it's command the box better. So in the article, there's all, how they put all the tweets in. There's quite a few there, actually. So, yeah. But like I said,
isn't that something we complain about all the time? There's just so many supporters. They spend too much time playing Football Manager or FIFA. You just go and find a better goalkeeper somewhere. This is the best goalkeeper we've had for a long time. He's a young goalkeeper, so he's got maybe 7 or 8 years of his prime years ahead of him. Let's get behind him. He's been a terrific goalkeeper for us. He's made the odd mistake, but who hasn't in this Arsenal team over the last few years? Just get behind him. He's a good goalkeeper. Not the best we've ever seen, but a very good goalkeeper.
No, I agree, and I didn't see much on the Twitter going through. So, like Tony said,
I was surprised how positive it was. I was really surprised.
Yeah. Oh, Gurn Duck must have found Gurn or whatever his fucking name is. What's this cunt? Gurn Goose. He must have found one article and threw it up there. Anyway, he goes on, Gurn Goose. If Kolasinac injury is season ending, what depth do we have, Tony?
I presume that before Tierney's back, that Saka starts and Cedric or Maitland-Niles is the sub, or if there's a B, what I like to call a half game or a B game, if we get an easy draw in Europa League, if we get through and we won the first leg 4-0 and you send a weakened team, then you either play Cedric or Maitland-Niles at left back. I can't really see much else.
Yeah. Hack on Larson and just continue on Tony with backs. So I'm just going to stick with you for a minute. The fuck should we do on our right back position? Would actually like to see Maitland-Niles instead of Bellerin. Bellerin isn't at the level we need right now. I feel. I know we are winning, but still feel that weak spot.
Yeah, look, as I said, I thought Bellerin was probably the worst player on the pitch the other day. I don't think he's been good since he's come back from injury. You do have to factor in he did have a long-term injury, but at the moment that's kind of not really our concern. You're either good enough right now or you're not. And at the moment, I don't think he is. Arteta's had a few, I don't want to say sly digs because it's just how I interpret them. He does that a lot. He says something, and if you want to read into it, you can, and you might be wrong, but when praising Saka a few times, he said that he comes in every day, he's happy to play there, he wants to learn, he doesn't use the excuse, this isn't my position, so mistakes are going to happen. He said that after, I think it was the Newcastle game. I read that as a dig at Ainsley, because otherwise it makes absolutely no sense. Ainsley was probably our best player or he's in our top 3 players in every game under Arteta, got dropped and has been not even on the bench since. He wasn't on the bench on Sunday. we played Socrates at right back over him away at Olympiacos. He came on for about 30 seconds when Socrates couldn't walk anymore. So I look, again, I might be wrong. I see that as a dig at Ainsley. And if Ainsley said he doesn't want to play there, he's not willing to play there, or he's not willing to learn, then Arteta is not going to play him. And Hector presently becomes our only option, unless Cedric comes in and does really well and takes Hector's place. Who knows? It's possible. I think at Hector's level currently, that's more than possible. Who knows? But with Cedric injured, and if I'm reading it correctly about Maitland-Niles, Hector's our only option.
Mm-hmm. Darren, Brad's or original Brad's, do you think playing crosses to the back post to Aubameyang can be another reason as to why he plays wide? He's got the pace, good movement, but being over 6 foot, he'll be taller than most right backs in the league. He's got 2 headers in back-to-back games so far.
Yeah, I think it's more coincidence than a plan. I think, like Tony said, he's before a couple of weeks ago he hadn't scored a header for hardly ever scores with his head. He's not a natural header of the ball. He's just working and playing really well at the moment. But I don't think that's why they play him on the left. It's just a lucky coincidence. I think he's a natural striker. He gets into the right places. And
his back post runs have always been fantastic. Wherever he played, regardless if he was up front. Look at even when he look through his goals for us. Him arriving at the back post is a theme whether he's been left on the left, on the right, or through the middle. It's just a theme of how he plays that he arrives at the back post. Yeah,
there was a question earlier about what trait would you give him that he hasn't got already, and Tony's right. The obvious one is hold-up play, but I don't think he's, and this is maybe where I don't think he's the world-class player. I don't actually think he's a very good finisher, but I think he is exceptional, one of the best in the world at getting in the right places. He's sometimes his finishing is a bit strange, and with his head, generally it's just not part of his game. But he's improving. He's still learning. He's a good player, very, very good player.
World class.
No, very, very good player. Purposely chose those words. Very, very good player.
I'm in a kind of a mood. Okay. Here's one. Yeah, do you guys think, because I was going to get onto this anyway, do you guys think we should sign Ceballos permanently, if possible, Darren?
I'd really like to see him play till the end of the season. It's been a bit hit and miss so far, and that injury really fucked him up because he looked like he was hit and miss for the first part of the season. There's a bit of the Mkhitaryan's about it for me. Is he ever going to really settle in the Premier League? I'd like to think he is because he excites me. He's fun to watch, and I think if we can lose Ozil, then he's a natural replacement. But the jury's still out for me. It's a big decision. It's a lot of money, and we've got 12, 14 games left. I'd like to see him get a good run in the side, and let's see if he can do it week in, week out. In the Tuesday night away at fucking wherever that shitty place is.
Tony?
I still don't know. Look, if you'd have asked 2 weeks ago, I think it would have probably been a unanimous no. He's been good in the last 2 weeks. And I think 2 weeks ago we couldn't even see him getting a game, and now he's got that chance. He's worked his way into a starting position, and it looks like he's going to hold that place. I am probably still leaning towards a no. I don't think he's an Ozil replacement. I don't think he plays high enough. I think he needs to touch the ball too much, which suits playing deeper. And I don't think long term Arteta's going to want that type of player we're basically playing. I said this last week. We're basically playing a midfield one because Xhaka's covering the left back. And I think he'll want. I mean, we've been linked with Thomas Partey a few times, and I think Arteta is eventually going to want that type of player that's a bit stronger, a bit more defensively solid, but can still keep the ball. So that's more why I'm leaning towards no. But again, he's got we've got 12 league games, at least 2 more cup games, hopefully many more. They're all auditions for him. As I said, if you're asking me now, I'd say no, but it's a lot less of a no than it was 2 weeks ago.
We spoke earlier, probably start of the season, Tuera and Granit, I think we pretty much said that they were the both midfielders that we'd go for. Is Ceballos making do you think Ceballos is making playing well enough to beat Tuera week in, week out? And does he play good with Granit?
I think he does it. I've been surprised at how well it's worked. But as I said last week, I think it entirely depends on who we're playing. I was surprised he played in the other day, Sunday, because I thought he'd go for a bit more, be a bit more solid. But then, as I said, Ceballos uses the ball better. He's better when being pressed than Torreira. So there's an argument for and against. I think if we were playing, I don't want to say City because it's Arteta's old team, he could completely surprise us how he plays against him. If we had Tottenham away this weekend, or Liverpool, I would expect Torreira to play.
Yeah, okay. Where am I? Schwinn. Schwinn. Does oh, he's man. No, but he does say, does Raul deserve a statue just for selling Iwobi for 40 million?
Yes.
How anonymous was he? Do you know what? When he had that shot that went just over at 1-0 and it looked like it was going in, and you thought, you've never done that. Yeah. Like, you've ran 40 yards and then put in a very good effort that's unlucky. After that, I don't know if he touched the ball. Like,
I don't think
he was just not in the game. I couldn't say he played badly because I don't remember him giving the ball away. I just remember him not doing anything at all. Defensively, they're a shambles as well. It still amazes me that no one knows how to deal with this system with a centre midfielder going to a bit of a left back position, the left back pushing on the winger. It's the amount of teams that are confused by it. It's somewhat baffling. But Everton didn't have a clue. Sidibe didn't know where to go with Aubameyang or not. Iwobi didn't know if he was now man marking Saka or if he had to go to the ball. They were all over the place.
He just goes on, and you're going to have to type a look at the Twitter, boys, because he says also this needs explaining, and it's obviously the first goal which we discussed.
Yeah, it's a Kolasinac.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's only explainable. Kolasinac just fucked up.
Okay.
I can't. Like, what do you want? As I said, I think he's got so interested in the fight and trying to be strong and trying to block the man that he's not realised he's actually dropped 10 yards deeper than everyone else.
Yeah, I was just looking at that now because now Schwinn's put it on the picture. I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't realise he was actually that far back. But he's
as I said, it was like I'm in line with the defensive line pretty much where I sit, and he started dropping back, and I just said like, what the fuck are you doing? And people were kind of half looking at me, and he looked at the pitch and saw Kolasinac 10 yards deeper than everyone else. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't realise. Because when you were talking about it before, I was thinking, oh, I didn't think it was that far back. But yeah, now I understand. Kroenke's second son, do you think Mustafi would have had a similar streak of good form if he would have tried drying his hair sooner? Wouldn't you guys keep Ainsley at least on the bench because of his versatility? If you were the manager, nothing against Hector, but Ainsley was very solid. Darren?
Well, with Mustafi, I think all credit to both the manager and the player. I don't think there was any Arsenal fan who could ever envisage that Mustafi would not only be back, but back as probably first choice at the moment under our manager and playing exceptionally well. I've always liked Mustafi for like we were 8 minutes, and then he's had that cock up in him, which we all just got fed up with. It was just so often, so many bad mistakes. I don't know what Arteta's done differently to him, and he's still not there's always a little bit of nervousness when he's got the ball, but he's 100%, isn't he? He just gives everything, wears his heart on his sleeve, and I thought he was exceptional again on Sunday. He's been probably our best defender consistently over the last 3 or 4 games. Well done to the manager, well done to the player. And as far as the Ainsley Maitland-Niles thing goes, Arteta's got his favourites. He obviously likes Ozil, he obviously likes Mustafi, he obviously likes Nketiah. He doesn't like Torreira so much, he doesn't like Guendouzi so much, he doesn't like Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He's got an issue, he's challenging those players to come back better. Mustafi's he's given everyone a clean bill of health, hasn't he? He's allowed everyone to start with a clean slate, and Mustafi's taken it. And Arsenal fans, come on, we've got to be honest, he's been very, very good.
Okay, I'm going to pump through a few of these questions because otherwise we're going to go over fucking 2 hours, and I've got to go soon. So, FPL Canada, and a lot of them we've already touched on, boys. So I'm just going to read them, and you lads, if you think you want to add anything, add something. FPL Canada, so he's just touched it on. Bellerin hasn't reached the heights. His heights of 3 seasons ago. His injuries have taken away his pace, and he's not a good defender time to offload. I think everybody's had a fair go at Bellerin today, and look, I agree with everything you guys say. So, who's a better left wing prospect, Saka or Martinelli? If you say Martinelli, should Saka be convinced to be our first choice left back? Tony kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, or Darren, one of you did, didn't you?
Yeah, I just think there's the choice there of 3. I don't think Saka's. He might, Arteta might be able to train him to be it, but I don't see him as being a left back. I see him as a forward player. But Martinelli has disappeared off the picture. Was he on the bench, Martinelli, at the weekend, Tony?
No, he wasn't.
No. Injured or just left out?
Well, my mate saw him. One of my mates is an autograph hunter / pervert, and he chases the players everywhere. My mate saw him before the game, and I asked, was he injured? And he said not visibly, but he drove, because they drive in separately if they're not in the 18, and he wasn't pissed off about it. He was happy to stop and talk to fans and whatnot, which in general means they're injured or rested. Usually if they're dropped, they just shoot past everyone and they're fuming, and they go and sit in their box or wherever they have to sit.
Is this something that we're seeing with Arteta now that's quite an interesting part of his character, because he's completely dumped Ainsley Maitland-Niles out of the team. He fell out with Guendouzi, dropped him completely from the first team squad. Saka was getting so much praise everywhere, and he put Kolasinac in ahead of him. And then Martinelli, everyone's saying what a great player he is, and he's left him out of the match team squad. Is this his way that he tries to keep their feet on the ground, to use one of his expressions?
Maybe. Look, I said on here last week, I think Martinelli's carrying a knock. He came off after 60 the other day, and look, I'm not saying he was unbelievable, but he was as good as anyone else pretty much. I don't think he was poor. Came off after 60. They're not in the squad this weekend. I personally think he's carrying a knock, but they've not said anything to that effect. It's just what I believe. But look, we always say don't, especially if players come into the league first year, don't burn them out, don't play them too much. And we was getting to the stage where we was almost relying on Martinelli, especially in them games where Aubameyang was out. So maybe it's just trying to manage his career rather than manage him in the here and now.
Yeah, good point.
There's a couple of interesting ones. So FPL Canada, and MAA Gunner. So how many centre backs does Arsenal need next season? We'll have at least 7 unless some are moved on. So who's going, says FPL Canada. And then MAA Gunner, why isn't Maitland-Niles playing ahead of Bellerin, let alone Socrates? His games at right back have been better than Bellerin's. So it's, we have this problem next year, Tony, where we're going to have a lot of centre backs. We're going to have a lot of backs as well, I feel. Obviously, if you throw Maitland-Niles into the mix.
Yeah, I said earlier on in the season, I think Socrates is off in the summer. Just the age, the style of play, he's just not good enough on the ball. I like Socrates, but he's not what Arteta wants. So I think he's gone in the summer. And then I don't know who he's counting in them 7. What's his name? Chambers ain't going to be fit until probably the new year. So I wouldn't count him in that 7.
Okay.
Is he counting Mavropanos at 7? That's what I'm saying. I don't know who he's counting. Mavropanos isn't going to be a starter, so do you really count him? He could go. Saliba. No, but I mean, Saliba, all the reports are brilliant and he looks fantastic, but he's going to be, 18, 19? Is he going to come in and be a starter straight away that you can play every week? Probably not. I hope he is, but it'd be unusual. You don't really see that with defenders coming to a new league at that age and being a commanding start every week kind of player. So although it might be 7 or 8 on paper, I don't think it is anywhere near as packed in that position as it is. And I agree with MW Gunner that Maitland-Niles has been better, but as I said earlier, I don't know if there's been a falling out, and what I'm reading into answers seems like there has been.
MAA, I don't get this. Man City have been poor on set pieces. How do we improve this? I still don't. I don't know. You boys get it? How do it's fucking. I'm confused. Manchester City have also been poor on set pieces. How do we improve this? The fuck do I want to?
I don't know if he's saying it's an Arteta thing.
Maybe.
That's the only thing I can assume.
Yeah.
Especially we conceded 2 goals from set pieces this weekend. I think in general we've been all right. Trying to think under Arteta, one of Chelsea's goals was a set piece, but it was just a horrendous error from Leno. Chelsea away was a penalty and I suppose it was a set piece. But we were down to 10 men. Bournemouth didn't score a set piece. United didn't score. Burnley didn't score. Newcastle didn't score. So you take out this weekend and you can maybe just say Everton's delivery was very good, or they've got very tall attacking players. I don't think we've been disastrous from set pieces. I don't even think we've been bad. I think we've been much better attacking set pieces than we have been defending. But I don't see it as a problem as of yet. It could become a problem, but as of yet, I think it all seems all right.
Do you think the praise on Mustafi is getting a bit too much? Yes, he's making good blocks and tackles, but really he's also done that. I feel he still backs off too much and would get beaten easily. Look, you're going to be critical if a player's fucking playing shit, so be critical. If a player's playing good, praise the bloke, mate. I like what Mustafi's doing. Asked me 6 months ago, I wanted him sold. So you can't. Praise isn't too much for me at the moment, Darren.
I just, I've said my piece on Mustafi, nothing to add. I think praise where praise is due. He has turned his Arsenal career around. Whether he's the long-term future, whether he's going to be here next season, don't know. Arteta will make that decision, I'm sure. But he's playing well at the moment. Let's appreciate that the guy has got the balls to come back into that side where he's been highly criticised by everyone, all of us, and he's stood up and been counted. And Arteta has played in pretty much every game he's played, and hats off to both of them.
I'm somewhere in between. I think he 100% deserves praise. I do think some people are going over the top.
Yeah. He's still Mustafi. He's still going to make a mistake next week and we're fucking lose. But at the moment, he's playing really well. So
yeah, no, he has been. But I think some people are going a bit over the top with the praise. He deserves praise, but the level of some I've seen is like blaming Emery. Like, I hated Emery for a long, long time. But saying Mustafi was only shit because of Emery and now he's world class is going a bit too far.
He's world class.
No, but it goes back to Arteta has improved certain players, hasn't he? Some players have got better under Arteta, talking about improving players.
Yeah, I think he has.
Name of this podcast is going to be world class players by the looks of
it. No world class player.
I know world class fucker. Where are we? MAA Gunner. I'm trying to think myself. What are the top 3 Arsenal games you would never watch the highlights of or never rewatch? Mine, he says, is Baku, League Cup final against City, and the 3-2 at United, the Rashford one. Tony?
I've still never watched back the Champions League final. I tend to not watch games back anyway, but the Champions League final hurt me badly. I think I was at that horrible age as well. I was, maybe 16, 17. Just a horrible age in life in general, and that didn't help. The Old Trafford 2-0 Mike Riley game, I'm not calling it anything other than the Mike Riley game, was a horrible one. I don't know. I'm just a bit of a person. I really hate watching the Rooney goal against us. The one that started the invincible run, really. But I just fucking hate it. I don't know if it's just I don't like Wayne Rooney. But when other people go, you've got to admit it was a class goal. No, it probably was, but no. I don't want to watch it. Don't want to know about it. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to see it on Sky Sports every 5 fucking seconds.
The two Bayern Munich games, legs ring a bell to me, but yeah. But anyway, Darren, what do you got?
Well, top of my head, because I hadn't seen that question, 2 of the worst away games I've been to. I was at Wrexham where we got knocked out in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. At Wrexham, that was a fucking horrible day. A long way to go to get beat. I think the following season or a season after that, I went away to York, 3rd round of the FA Cup, got beat 1-0. Those were fucking terrible days. Fire here, and I stood on the shelf at White Hart Lane and saw us get beat 5-0 by Tottenham. Those three.
Manchester United, there was one there too that I wouldn't watch, mate.
The 8-2.
Yeah, the fucking absolute fly. Yeah, I didn't want to remember the score. I'm just looking through our WhatsApp because we've got a question there from Sam. What do you think will not? What do you think will want to leave? So I'm fucking okay. Look, cunts, I've had a fucking stroke. I've had heart problems. I'm struggling to read these questions today. Who, not what? Okay, who? Who do you think will want to leave this summer? If we do not make Champions League or Europa League, what are the chances we qualify for Champions League this season? We talked about that. But the others, I want to touch on who do you think will want to leave in the summer? I think Lacazette will want to leave, especially if Atletico Madrid come in for him. Tony?
I think Lacazette will want to leave regardless. If things carry on the way they are at the moment, I think even if we get it, he'll probably want out.
Yeah. I think
Aubameyang's the key one there. He's going to, if we do, just listening to Arteta in his press conference when they talked a lot about Aubameyang, and he was asked that question, how have you turned him around? And he was saying, well, look, the player wants to play at the top level of football, and we've got to do our best to get him there. And otherwise, he's going to go. And he joined Arsenal because he thought he was going to be playing Champions League football and hopefully winning it. And now he's playing for a mid-table side that's unlikely to win the Europa League. He's well within his rights to want to leave at the end of the season if we don't achieve the Champions League. I think he's definitely out. The rest of them, they're all world-class players, so they'll be picked off by Barcelona and PSG and Manchester City and Liverpool.
So 6 months ago, I'd say Ozil wanted to leave. I don't know if he does today.
No. Without extending the podcast too much, I had this debate with a friend on Sunday. I think Aubameyang goes regardless because what number, in terms of contract, what amount of money per week do you put in front of him to make him sign? Because he ain't signing for 150.
No.
Do the club go to Ozil wages for a 32-year-old? I think he'll be then.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see a reasonable number that suits both parties. And so I think I don't want him to go. Of course, I'd love him to sign. But I don't know what number suits both parties. I don't think there is one.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I think he's gone. I really do. Even if we scrape in the Champions League, I think it's more about he'll want to win the Champions League, and I don't think he'll see Arsenal as a vehicle to do that. Obviously money's a big thing contract-wise, but is he going to look at that side if we scrape in and go, well, we're going to challenge? And it depends who the offers come in from. And I'm sure they will, because he's still a very, very good player.
Can I just Lacazette? Okay, so Lacazette, Aubameyang. Let's say, okay, I agree with you, Tony. What number for Aubameyang? And we agree type of Lacazette's possibly going to go. What number gets you Lacazette and Aubameyang though? Like, how much are we talking?
Personally, I think Aubameyang, you're looking at least your money back. And in terms of business, it's not. Again, I don't want to lose him, but to have someone for 2.5 years, they've got 2.5 years older, to get your money back is not a horrendous deal. Maybe slightly more than that. I'd say between 60 and 80, depending on how many teams come calling. As Darren said, if there's a bidding war, if there's 5 or 6 teams, which I think there probably would be, then, or if it's a team like PSG who don't really care what they spend, then you're looking sort of to the upper end of that 80. If there's not many teams interested, you're probably looking around 60. Lacazette, I don't know.
Have to be.
I don't know 30. If it's me that's not a fan of him being. Look, I don't see a number above 40.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be above 40. But then, if you've got money to free up, you've freed up two wages in strikers, right? So you're type of putting in. You're type of saying, well, Martinelli's there, Eddie's there, we're going to need somebody else. So now do you go, okay, well, Cavani's available for free. Do we offer him what he wants in terms of wages?
No. Personally, I think if you say you get 100 million in for the two of them, and you want to sign two, where look, you don't know if that would be the case because of Martinelli, because of Eddie and whatnot, but I think if there is 100 million available and you want to sign two strikers, you probably go quite big on one, and then maybe the next one is a bit of a sort of a youth prospect or someone who can come good or someone who's decent but happy to sit on the bench. Like not him, but like how when Dortmund signed Alcacer, he was a second choice at Barcelona. He was probably around the 15 to 20 million mark, and he could come in and do a job. He's a good player, but he's not someone you're going to pin your hopes on. I think that's probably what you would do, or you never know. They might think we need one, or we don't need any, and we're going to go and spunk 60 million on Grealish and then get a 40 million striker. The problem with 40 million strikers at the moment is you still have to scout well, because you've got Haller and Joe Linton that were both over 40 million, and let's be honest, have not really done much. But then there'll be strikers that are under 40 million that have done really well this year. So it's just picking and choosing and being good at your job.
No, it's going to be an interesting summer, I think, because especially Ceballos, if he, obviously he's going to go back to Real Madrid, I feel, and I don't think we're going to pay the money there to keep him. So all of a sudden, you're going to be looking at midfield, and you could be looking at two strikers. So it's going to be an interesting. So I think our back lines, I don't think we're going to get anyone there, but yeah, it'd be interesting. Okay, lads. I think that's about us wrapped up. You boys got anything else?
No.
No, I'm done. I'm done and dusted. Patrons will get 2 hours. Non-patrons get about an hour and a half. So, anyway, let's go. Catch you, boys. See yous. Good night.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.